Hello, it's delighting to see you again after the Independence Day. It's September the 3rd, and here are the major stories. Total outstanding loans expand by 4.5% between January and August. Remittances into Ho Chi Minh City reaches $2.75 billion in the first 8 months. And Dong Nai continues to attract a record high levels of foreign direct investment. Let's start the bulletin with crucial financial news.
According to the State Bank of Vietnam, the country's credit is expected to grow by 4.5% and its deposits by 8.21% by late August. Accordingly, credit growth in August is 3.68% higher than that in July, but remains lower than that in the same period last year. This growth rate is below expectations in light of the government's target of 12 to 14% growth in credits for 2014. The SBV expected credit growth to reach 10% or more by year-end. As of August the 21st, the total means of payment rose by 8.6%, while deposits growth rate went up by 8.21%, with deposits in dong rising 8.77% and deposits in foreign currency going up by 4.2% compared with the same period last year. The liquidity of credit institutions remained abundant, and the interest rate of the interbank markets was stabilized at a low level.
According to the Vietnam Asset Management Company, or VAMC, as of August the 28th, the company has recovered 1.25 trillion dong of non-performing loans. In the first 8 months of 2014, the company recovered more than 1.1 trillion dong of debts. Specifically, in the first 8 months, VAMC purchased debts from 33 credit institutions with more than 1,000 customers and 1,899 loans. The total amount of original debts purchased in 2014 so far was 19.63 trillion dong, bringing the total value of debts purchased in the past 2 years to 58.9 trillion dong. The buying price of debts in 2014 was so far 16.24 trillion dong, bringing the total buying value of debts in the past 2 years to 48.97 trillion dong. In the first 8 months of 2014, VMC issued more than 12 trillion dong of special bonds, bringing the total value of bonds issued to 42.96 trillion dong. The State Bank of Vietnam's branch in Ho Chi Minh City said, as of July, credit in foreign currencies in the city rose 10.56% versus the rise of 3.06% in Vietnam dong. Foreign credit is growing at a quicker pace than that in domestic one, which is a common phenomenon in other localities. Although foreign credit help to boost total outstanding loans in the banking system, it may have long-term and unexpected effects on the national economy. More to follow. Total lending in foreign currency has been surging in the past month, which is due to the big difference between US dollars and Vietnamese dong lending interest rate. Business say lending in the domestic currency is 4 to 5% higher than that in US dollars. Therefore, businesses will enjoy bigger profits if making loans in USD to invest in the business.
Về mặt các đơn vị làm xuất khẩu có cái điều kiện mà thu cái ngoại tệ từ nước ngoài chuyển trả về thì họ sẽ chuyển sang vay bằng USD là thuận lợi hơn và đồng thời là có lợi hơn về mặt kinh tế, bởi vì cái lãi suất trung bình của Việt Nam đồng hiện nay các doanh nghiệp phải vay thì kể cả những doanh nghiệp phải vay xuất khẩu thì nó cũng phải trung bình từ 5,5% ưu đãi cho tới 8 đến 10%. Trong khi đó thì chúng tôi hiện nay đang vay đô thì cũng lãi suất ưu đãi từ 2,5% cho tới 4,5%. Thì so sánh hai cái việc đó với cái điều kiện đồng USD luôn luôn được ổn định thì người ta cho rằng vay USD là có hiệu quả hơn tất cả.
Cái việc mở rộng cho vay ngoại tệ đến là một điều phù hợp với Việt Nam khi mà chúng ta có cái cán cân thương mại so với GDP ở tỷ lệ rất cao và chúng ta được đưa vào nhóm kinh tế mở. Vì vậy thì cái việc mà có hoạt động tín dụng ngoại tệ ở Việt Nam là tất yếu, và vì vậy thì cái tăng trưởng tín dụng bằng ngoại tệ nó phù hợp với chủ trương chính sách cũng như là cái hướng dẫn ngân hàng nhà nước. Các doanh nghiệp mà vay bằng vốn bằng ngoại tệ thì họ có 4 điểm chênh lệch so với vay bằng nội tệ. Thì điều đó là một cái điều có lợi với tư cách là một cái doanh nghiệp vay vốn để phục vụ cho sản xuất kinh doanh.
Since February 2014, those eligible to loans in foreign currency were expanded and reached out of companies being able to collect currency from their business. This is a good mechanism for firms, helping to boost lending in foreign currency and total credit of the whole banking system. In fact, a number of firms has made loans in USD and used them for wrong purposes, affecting the system liquidity.
Chúng tôi cho rằng là cái việc một số doanh nghiệp lợi dụng cái tỷ giá và lãi suất của cái đồng USD thấp vay, xong đó rồi chuyển sang gửi bằng cái Việt Nam đồng để lên lãi suất cao. Tôi nghĩ là có, nhưng điều đó không nhiều.
Các công ty đều phải có một cái kế hoạch cụ thể và có được một cái chủ động trong vấn đề ngoại tệ cũng như dự trữ ngoại tệ để mà làm sao có lợi nhất cho công ty.
It's noted that foreign currency deposits in Ho Chi Minh City's banks rose 0.83% between January and July, while credit in the currency went up 10.56%, resulting in the deposit over credit ratio of the currency to 88.5%, much higher than the rate of 80% in Vietnamese dong. Normally, lower deposits in foreign currency must come with a reduction in lending, which is necessary to prevent dollarization. However, the situation does not happen that way, posing risks to the national economy.
Cái việc mà trong nền kinh tế hiện nay thì tăng trưởng tín dụng thì tăng cả nội tệ và ngoại tệ. Thế thì khi mà tăng trưởng tín dụng bằng Việt Nam đồng, bằng nội tệ nó gặp rất nhiều khó khăn, thì cái việc là ngân hàng nhà nước cho phép các tổ chức tín dụng mở rộng cái đối tượng cho vay ngoại tệ để tạo điều kiện cho tăng trưởng tín dụng thì tôi nghĩ cũng là cái chuyện bình thường. Nhưng mà một khi mà tăng tín dụng ngoại tệ mà cái nguồn huy động ngoại tệ lại bị giảm rất là nhiều so với những năm trước, nghĩ là đây là tiềm ẩn rủi ro rất là lớn cho cả phía ngân hàng và khách hàng. Cho dù là ngân hàng nhà nước có cam kết là cái tỷ giá chỉ biến động trong một cái biên động nhất định thôi, nhưng mà cái biến động tỷ giá nó không hoàn toàn chỉ phụ thuộc vào cái yếu tố trong nước mà đôi khi nó phụ thuộc vào thị trường vốn quốc tế, và vì vậy mà rất là quan tâm vấn đề này khi mà tăng cái tín dụng bằng ngoại tệ trong những tháng cuối năm còn lại của năm 2014.
Expanding lending in foreign currency may be the best way to realize the credit growth target, but this should not be a major solution due to its unexpected results. Therefore, banks should prioritize prudence and credit quality in their lending. The State Bank of Vietnam's Ho Chi Minh City's branch said remittances through banks in the area by the end of August are estimated to reach $2.75 billion, up 6.2% year-on-year. Notably, according to data, about 70% of remittances have flown into production and business. In August alone, remittances into the city reached $333 million, nearly double the July's figure. This year, remittances into the city are expected to reach $4.8 to $5 billion. According to an expert, although the central bank devalued Vietnam dong by 1% against the US dollars in middle of June, and US dollars deposit rate is low, the interest rate is still higher compared to the world and tends to be very stable, hence attracting remittances. The southern Dong Nai province has issued investment certificates for 103 foreign direct investment projects valued at over $922 million during the first 8 months of the year. The Provincial Department of Planning and Investment reported the total consists of $391 million for 52 new projects and $531 million in supplementary investment for 51 projects. Roughly more than 1,440 projects, capitalized at $25.25 billion, have been licensed to operate in industrial zones to date, of which more than 1,100 valid projects has had combined capitalization of $20.8 billion. According to Industrial Zone Managing Board, in the first 8 months of this year, FDI businesses in industrial zones reported $10.37 billion in revenue, including $5.6 billion from exports. They contributed more than $374.2 million to the state budget, up nearly 8.5% on year. Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng recently approved a development plan for Vietnam's shipping industry for 2020 with a vision for 2030, aiming to ease the transportation burden on roads. According to the plan, the majority of imports and exports are to be transported by sea, embedding Vietnam further into the global shipping network and connecting the country to distant destinations, such as Northern Europe or South America. The objective is to ship 140 to 152 million tons of goods, including 40 to 46 million tons internationally, and have a shipping fleet with a total carrying capacity of 6.84 to 7.52 million deadweight tons. In the meantime, the industry will run refresher courses for 27,000 officers and crew members and will train 15,000 new recruits. The development plan will require the investment of 20 to 30 trillion dong, or $1 to $1.5 billion by 2020, with the majority of funds being mobilized by business themselves. And now let's move on with some foreign trade news.
Vietnamese exports to Australia picked up in the pace for the first 7 months of the year, jumping up 38.2% on year to $2.39 million, with the $1.22 million trade surplus. The Vietnam Trade Office in Australia reports key Vietnamese exports included crude oil, telephones and components, seafoods and cashew nuts. Crude oil tops the list of export items, tallying in as $1.29 million, representing a 73.3% year-on-year increase. It was followed by telephones and components and aquatic products. Meanwhile, Vietnamese major imports from Australia were timber products, plastic materials, oil and steel scraps. Bilateral trade between Vietnam and Brazil reached more than $1.74 billion in the past 7 months, with $770.3 million coming from Vietnamese exports. Figures from the Vietnamese Trade Office in Brazil also showed that the country's exports to the market increased by 29.4% year-on-year, while imports increased by 41.4% year-on-year. Exports showing high growth included fibers, which increased by 112%, along with mobile phones and components by 100%, and garments by 45.2%.
Last but not least, in today's bulletin is the update of local gold prices, forex and stock markets. Well, that's all for this edition of Into Vietnam. Thank you so much for your attention. You can also follow us on our website at www.vitv.vn. Goodbye and enjoy your day.